Well, most people probably do this with a drone. But me, I use a bucket truck. Well, tubers, I guess this is a good time as any to do an intro. So we're gonna do some solar stuff today. Let's do it. So this is gonna be the RV episode. I've kind of given up on the whole numbering deal, but RV episode solar, I guess. In this episode, I'm gonna try to get some solar panels stuck on this thing. I kind of sprung this on you. I didn't do a lot of talking about it, but here we are, and this is what we're gonna do. If you're new around here, I got a 1977 Peterbilt that I built a toter home out of, built a box, everything, every single dinky aspect of it. You can go back and watch the old videos. We're gonna sit in just a minute. I've got an unusual electrical system. Just to kind of touch on briefly, there's a 6 kilowatt inverter and a large lead acid battery bank, and I can actually run everything, including all 3 air conditioners, off that one inverter and off the batteries. And what this allows me to do, if you don't have shore power, is you can gather your power from several different places. Like, say for instance, the generator, you can actually start the generator up and just let it idle. It's got a 270 amp alternator. It'll produce about 6 kilowatts to put back in your batteries. The truck engine's got a 2400 watt alternator that'll put 2400 watts back in the batteries. And of course, now we're going to add solar. Now I bought 10 of these, or 310 watt used solar panels. These are repossessed solar panels from a place in Fort Worth. I'm only going to put 6. There's only room to put 6 on the coach, but I bought 4 extras in case one gets broken or something. I've got a mate to them. I can just pull one out and put another one back in. And if I want to do something later, like put some on a trailer or something, I can. But anyway, I got 4 extras. This array you see behind me here, I just got through assembling. We will, let's just cut to it. We're going to start with a time lapse of me putting this together. I think I'll voice over and talk a little bit about the how we're going to wire them up. And tomorrow, when it's supposed to be cooled way off, it's only supposed to be 97 tomorrow. We'll take a forklift and set them up there and see if we can get it started on this project. Really don't have a place to put you here. Maybe I can stick you in the exhaust pipe here. There you go. Alright, so I need to put some screws in this. I'm about out of daylight. I'll probably video this till it's too dark to see. I think I'm going to do this out of my bucket truck. It's so close to the edge up here that, well, you couldn't get up there and do it. You had to stand on the solar panels. So instead of using the ladder, I'm going to use the bucket. All right, so my plan here is I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch hole through this angle iron and then use a number 14 Tex screw to screw these down. What I'm going to do is I've got some regular silicone. Excuse me, my bucket's got so much slack in it, it kind of moves around. So I've got a rafter that runs across at each of these sets of screws. And I'm just going to go through here, instead of marking them precisely right now, I'm going to go through here and just squirt a dab of silicone underneath everywhere this thing is going to have the have a screw put in it. All right, now I'm just going to line up an eyeball. These are close enough, I don't think I have to measure them, to these sets of outside screws. I'm going to just take a tech screw. Hope I'm in frame here. And that should take and sandwich this piece of angle iron, the EPDM roof, the plywood, down to the fireworks, down to the joist or whatever you call it that runs across here. Anyway, I think that this EPDM membrane would work good enough as a gasket between this and the angle iron, but the silicone's not going to hurt. Anyway, what I'm planning on doing now, since I've got a big blob of this left over, this is all good paint, I should be able to just take a blob of that silicone just like that, put over the top of that screw head, and that should have that thing sealed completely off. All right, we're skipping forward a couple of days here. Let's get in the bucket and get on top of here. It is hot. God, it's hot. So I got those panels all screwed down. I got that set put together. You didn't see me assemble them or anything. They're pretty much screwed down except the outside here. And then we got to put the last set on here. The next thing is I'm gonna go take this last panel. We're gonna drag it forward, and it should just plug in. I got the wires coming from this one goes around the air conditioner, and then the wires coming out of that panel that should just plug together. Okay, so this will be the final layout of the panels. I can tell that one needs to be skewed that way a little bit to center it. But anyway, it'll get screwed down later off camera. I'm gonna get off here as quick as I can because it's 500 degrees up here. But anyway, this is the final layout of the panels. These panels, I've forgotten the exact numbers. They're roughly about 48 volts at just under 9 amps, like 8.98 or something like that. So we've got 3 panels up here. These are wired in parallel, so that'll give us, the output will be 48 volts at like 27 amps, something to that effect. These are grounded through the frame, through the screws that are bolted into the frame. The only wire coming from these panels is this wire here that attaches these set to those set. Now these 3 back here will also be wired in parallel, but this set is wired in series with this set. So we've got 48 volts, 30 amps coming through this wire. It's hooked to the negative of all these. I know it's kind of confusing, you can't see it, but it's done under the panels. Then it comes out of the panels here as this wire, and this, so this would give us about 90 or 100 volts or something like that at 30 amps. I could have those numbers wrong. These are 310 watt panels. It may be lower voltage, it may be 42 volts instead of 48, but anyway, whatever. We've got 2 sets of 3. The 3s are in parallel and the sets are in series. Here's the final output. This has got something like 90 volts. I want to see if we can actually strike an arc with this thing. It should pretty easily. Golly. kind of impressive. So I'm going to get the bucket and swing it around here. This is the best I can do for a tripod right now. Alright, so there's like a cavity that's made in my closet, and it's made specifically for running wires from the top of the motorhome down to the bottom. And it should be 160 inches in and about 16 inches from the side. It's a 4-inch wide or 3.5-inch wide cavity. We should be able just to drill a hole in. I'll feed the wire down through it, and it should ultimately come out in the electrical panel of the bottom of the RV. Right there. So I just put this down, looked down, the stupid camera wasn't recording. So this is the wire entrance into the top of the RV. What I've got here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's a little steel plate. You can just see the outline of it here. A little steel plate. And I took silicone, put silicone around the wire, put the plate down, and put 2 screws down into the wood. This should seal this up really well, I believe. The silicone doesn't stick real good to the CPDM, but it will stick well to the steel. And if you know, the silicone is working just like a gasket basically between a little piece of steel and the rubber, and it's got that wire sandwiched there, you know, in the middle of it all. Okay, so there's our wire. The hole we drilled was like right behind here and right behind here, and the wire just went straight down through that cavity out this hole. See, there's kind of a blank spot here. Anyway, all right, I got to kind of lay on my belly here to show you this. So this is my charge controller. I believe it's been a long time since I bought this. I think this is a maximum of 100 volt input and 50 amp output. I'm not 100% sure. These are the battery cables that go back to the battery. The positive is hooked up, the negative is disconnected right off the camera. I believe, or I have a hunch, that the negative of both of the input and the output are connected internally. And so I'm thinking I'll probably only have to have one wire. I don't think I'll have to have anything hooked here. The only thing we lack is to basically take the wire from the solar panels and hook it to this terminal, and then I can sort of touch this wire to the ground bus, make sure nothing's going to explode. Got to remember, this wire is hot and there's nothing I can do about it, and I've just got to be careful here. Okay, so here's the ground wire from the output of the charge controller. We're going to leave it disconnected for this minute. I'm going to let all 3 air conditioners get running off batteries here. I think at least 2 of them are. The front one is not. Let's let it start. Okay, so we've been running here about 30 minutes or so, and we're down to 91% state of charge. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to switch back to shore power, turn off the inverter, and I'm going to take and hook it up basically, and then we'll watch the current. We'll see how much power is going back into the batteries. That'll tell us how effective it is, or whatever. Alright, this is what's happening, and it is not charging, so I gotta go see what this means. Alright, this is a current situation. It's saying overvoltage fault. I don't know what's wrong, and apparently you've got to connect it with a app, and so I'm working on this. I'll catch you when I figure something out. So I got to pick this video back up. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been about 2 weeks, I think, since the last segment. I know it got kind of choppy there at the end. I was having trouble. I was griping about having to have an app to run that charge controller, and ultimately after I got it and played with it, it's got a lot of parameters you can adjust. You can see your PV voltage and current and wattage, and it'll graph it out for you. It's actually really cool. I'm really liking it. So right now we're getting about 1144 watts. It's 107 degrees. There's not a cloud in the sky, and it's 2 o'clock. It's about as good as it gets. The peak output of that is of panels is from about 11:30 till about 2 o'clock, something like that around here, and it tapers turns off pretty fast on either end. I'm really kind of disappointed in their performance. One thing I didn't realize was when it's really hot outside, the output of those panels fall. You think the hotter it gets, they make more power, but that's not how it works. As it gets hot, the power output falls considerably. Anyway, the most power I've got out of them is just about 1200 watts, and that's actually the rating. You know, my charge controller is a 50 amp controller, and at 24 volts, that's about 1200 watts, and that seems to just about be the limitation of the panels and the controller, so they're pretty well matched, even though I expected it to be a bottleneck. So anyway, this morning, about 8:30, and you gotta remember it's 107 degrees today, I came out here, switched the batteries. The batteries are fully charged. I turned the front air conditioner off, so I've got the air conditioner in the back is running. It's set on 65 degrees or so. It's hanging out right in the 60s. The middle air conditioner I left on, and I think I set it in the 70s. The temperature here came up. It's about, we'll look at just a minute, probably mid 70s. And turn the front air conditioner off. So I've been running 2 air conditioners today for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 hours. And so let's take a look back here and kind of see the status and how everything's going. So anyway, here is my current usage from the battery bank. It's 24 volts. We're down to 44% stated charge. That's about as low as I like to take these. You know, when you get much lower than that, you can, you know, it's not real great on the batteries. Anyway, like I say, we got 2 air conditioners running. It's 79 degrees in here in the front, and in the back it is 69 degrees. It's nice and cool back in the back. And I was able to run this basically the entire day without having to have any extra power, run off the solar panels in the battery bank. Now ultimately, when I get ready to go to bed, my batteries will be dead, and that's when we need the batteries. You know, you want the batteries to be charged when you're, you know, done for the evening. But it does give me the ability, if you take it somewhere, especially if you're just going to go in for an hour, you're going to leave your dogs out here in the, you know, in the bedroom or something, you can run the, you know, run an air conditioner off the batteries and the solar. You can almost run one air conditioner off the solar, but it won't quite get there. And obviously, if it's cooler outside, you need less air conditioning. If it's cooler, the panels work better. You know, this is a worst case scenario. You know, it's like I say, 107, 108 degrees. You know, it's hot enough if you touch the outside of this coach, it actually would blister your fingers. And you know, it works. I was able to basically get most of the day and have a reasonably cool inside here. Of course, got the refrigerator running and everything else. We'll switch this back here. We'll switch back to shore power, and if we shut the inverter down, we can actually see the charge rate back into the batteries from the solar. About 43 amps, 38, 36. Must be a cloud going over. There, going back up. Anyway, that's, you know, 40 whatever amps, 24 volts. When it was back more towards noon, 12:30, 1 o'clock, that hung out pretty much right there at 50. The bottleneck was in the charge controller at 50 amps, but it was just barely a bottleneck. I think that, you know, everything perfect. It might have had an output of, you know, 52 or 53 amps, and you know, I wasn't going to spend the money to buy a bigger charge controller for just a couple more watts. I guess that's all. I know this kind of ended abruptly. I hate ending it with just watching me talking, but I guess that's where we're at. You know, like I said, I'm a little bit disappointed, but it does work. It does do something, especially with a significant lead acid battery bank that I've got. It makes it more usable. The other thing to consider too is you know, I've got a 100 amp alternator that's on the truck engine, and so going down the road, those will help significantly supplement that available power. You know, hopefully you can run a couple air conditioners, and then whenever you get where you're going, everything is completely charged. And of course, if you run out of power, then I still got you know, plenty of horsepower in the bed back there, but I don't have to run it while I'm trying to sleep, even though it's really not that bad. But anyway, I'm done rattling. Appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, and all the good things, and we'll catch you on the next one.